So I kind of wanted to talk about something, and some people are going to feel that it's good news. Some people are going to feel that it's bad news for Xbox. I'm going to kind of give my opinion, but I'm going to wait a little bit till the end of, more towards the end of the video, to actually give my thoughts on it, because I think a lot of people may be surprised by what I have to say. And, again, that's something that's going to really kind of come down to each individual and how you all feel about this stuff. So anyway, as you guys know, there's been a lot of talk about pro models of consoles. Here we are in, 2024. We are in year 4 of the PS5, Xbox Series X and S era, and it looks like Sony is going to release a PlayStation 5 Pro. So that's going to absolutely destroy the Xbox Series X, right? Well, maybe not, according to some of these things. So, according to this, PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR, is aiming for 4K 120 frames per second or 8K 60 frames per second. PlayStation's new PSSR, which will be first integrated into the PS5 Pro, is internally aiming for 4K 120 and 8K 60 console gaming, according to Insider Gaming, which I will, of course, link this article in the description. So that sounds fantastic, right? Man, that's going to kick the crap out of Xbox, right? Well, let me read on a little bit. The news comes following this week's leaks of PS5 Pro, which revealed that the PlayStation 5 Pro, codenamed Trinity, will be incorporating PSSR to upscale the higher resolutions. Currently, PSSR works on SKD 9.0 in the PlayStation 5 Pro to bring 4K resolution, but Insider Gaming has also revealed more specifications on the upcoming PS5 Pro. Outlined in the documents provided to Insider Gaming under condition that they are not made public, PlayStation's ambition with PSSR is to achieve 4K 120 and 8K 60. Whilst these are not targets for the PS5 Pro due to hardware limitations, it is an internal goal for PSSR in future console iterations. The PlayStation 5 Pro PSSR currently supports 3840 by 2160, which is 4K, and aiming for 4K 60 or 8K 30, but it's unclear if those internal milestones can be passed. PSSR memory requirements is roughly 250 megabytes, 180 megabytes from the PSML library, and 64 megabytes from the game. So again, they're sort of aiming, a lot of people are going to run with this 4K 120 or 8K 60. That's insane, right? And it is insane. I think the main problem that we're going to see with this is the fact that, Microsoft has a console that can already kind of keep up with that, right? So if you didn't know, here's the big rub for Sony that's going to keep them not this huge thing that a lot of people think. The CPU that they're going to use is identical to the standard PlayStation 5. However, the Pro has a high CPU frequency mode, which takes the CPU to 3.85 gigahertz, a 10% increase over the standard console. In high frequency mode, more power is allocated to the CPU and will downclock the GPU by around 1.5%, resulting in roughly 1% lower GPU performance. So again, it sounds impressive, but internally, it looks like what they're going to be going for is, if the game is 1080p 60 frames per second on PS5, they want it to be 1440p 60 frames per second on PS5 Pro. And the reason this isn't maybe the big win that Sony was thinking is, quite simply put, it'll have the same CPU and the same gigahertz pretty much as the Xbox Series X, and it sounds really good when you hear 33 teraflops, but you have to understand something is those aren't the same kind of teraflops that are in the current gen systems, right? So basically, if you are going by those type of teraflops, you're looking at like a 15 teraflop machine overall, so realistically it doesn't even give Sony as much of a boost over the Xbox Series X that the Xbox Series X already had over the PS5. So you can sort of understand from that sort of perspective why Microsoft isn't going to go out there and do a Pro model. I think is it smart for Sony to do it? I don't know. We'll have to see how that kind of works out. But at the same time, I think, originally when we started hearing about a Pro, a couple years ago, I was like, that's silly because you can't even find a regular PlayStation 5 in stores. And, now we know that not only can you find a PlayStation 5 in stores, but the demand has significantly gone down for PlayStation 5s. So, again, maybe putting a Pro out there could help ignite the sales or whatever. But, we never really got the sales numbers from the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X. So we're not really sure what those consoles even did. Probably didn't seem like it was worthwhile for Microsoft to do another one. And, again, if you're asking me just as a gamer, let's just take away all the stuff that we had in terms of, let's say Microsoft really doesn't put anything else on PlayStation, right, in terms of their games, and they just want to go into next gen, fresh start, all that kind of stuff. You go and you jump PlayStation by a year or so to the market, that could be a great way to get ahead of them as long as they have exclusives, right? So I would much rather them do that than, just go out there and straight out beat them in, another power thing. Because let's just be honest, and it's going to be a hard to swallow pill, but Xbox has had the most powerful console for the last 7 years, since 2017, and it has not helped Xbox at all. In fact, Xbox is selling terribly. This is one of those things that that keeps happening or whatever, and nobody knows why this kind of stuff is happening. So the specs are still relatively the same. Like if you look at it, the Xbox Series X was always able to do technically a little bit more than the PS5, but developers didn't really take advantage of that, unfortunately. That's an unfortunate thing, to say the least. But we actually have a little bit of news on why there's potentially PlayStation 6 could have less improvements in the CPU. So the PlayStation 5 Pro CPU boost over the base models could have something to do with PS6 backwards compatibility, according to a new leaker. Speaking on X/Twitter, Kepler commented on the limited CPU boost of the upcoming system, saying that it could be related to backwards compatibility with the next-gen system. The way Sony handled backwards compatibility, he said, is complex and required new hardware to run at the same or higher clock speeds, even if the new hardware is faster at lower clock speeds. So if Sony is using a Zen 6 dense core for PS6, they can't target 4 GHz and above for the PlayStation 5 Pro, as that would break backwards compatibility. Very little is known about the PS6 being far from release. The specs have yet to be finalized, but Sony is planning to make it the most powerful console of its generation, while Microsoft considered other vendors for its next-gen Xbox. Sony is only considering AMD, which is unusual. As for the PS5, the Japanese company talked with multiple vendors before settling with AMD, so we're a little bit far away from it. So it does look like they're doing this because you don't want to go above that and then mess up backwards compatibility. Look, going forward, you've got to have everything be backwards compatible. You can't really, they're obviously not going to have, PS3 backwards compatibility. I don't think they'll ever do that. But again, I just don't think you're going to ever have that situation where, they're going to have something that's going to be backwards compatible. But again, I think that Xbox is in no worse space, to be honest with you, than what they were. So don't waste the money on new hardware and, try to come out first and see what happens. Keep your games. That would be my biggest advice to Microsoft. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys all have a great day. Rack them up and check out the articles in the description. Crap Gamer out.